Should pest control companies share their profits with their employees? We're going to discuss it on this edition of the Pest Geek Podcast. Pull out your hose and grab your can. We're about to integrate another Pest Geek Podcast. Hi, everybody. Frank Hernandez here, and welcome to the Pest Geek Podcast, bringing you the latest information on pests, products, and politics from today's leading industry sources to help you start, manage, and grow your pest control business. Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to another edition of the Pest Geek Podcast. Happy Monday to you all. This is Frank Hernandez, your Pest Geek. Hey, I hope you guys had an awesome weekend. Hope you had an awesome week, that everything is going along as planned, and that you're all wired up and ready to go this week. It's been a really good week. We're all caught up. Rain has finally ceased. We're experiencing some cool weather down here, which is so awesome. We're getting temperatures in the 70s during the day, some 50s at night, really cool. Very, very nice to work in. It feels like I'm working in air conditioner outside all day long. It is so awesome to finally get rid of all that heat and moisture and humidity that's just been plaguing us down here like crazy. But wanted to discuss. There are many ways to reward your employees with good salaries, good commissions, good bonuses, and even profit sharing. And there seems to be a lot of controversy on that, especially because of the nature of most of the pest control companies that are out there that are very, very, very small. I mean, they're 1 to 5 to 10 person companies at best. If you've got a 10-man company, that's a rare thing. Most of you're either a large company or you're a small, really small mom and pop. And it becomes very difficult for small companies to compete with larger companies in the area that are offering all types of incentives to the employees to come and work for them. And they get the best employees because they can offer to give insurance. They can offer to give 401k. They do profit sharing. It's very hard to attract and retain real quality employees in this business. And there's some things that we can look at to try to do better. So that's the whole purpose of this. I wanted to thank Ben Shamley, who liked us and following us on Facebook. Thank you so much for following us. I greatly appreciate that. And also Prime Pest Solutions at Prime Pest GA from Georgia are following us on iTunes. On Twitter. And, thank you. Thank you for following us, for liking all our stuff. I like to remind you, if you find yourself on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Podcast Addict, anywhere you find yourself, hey, would you do us a favor? Give us a review there, give us some stars, and leave a comment. We would greatly, greatly appreciate that and hearing from you. You can also send questions or comments to our email, questions at pestgeekpodcast.com. And there we can also reply to your emails. If you feel like leaving a voicemail message, you can always call the hotline. It's open 24/7. It's 707-395-7378. You can leave a recorded message, and we could play that question or comment on the air to help other people. So we do greatly appreciate that. Also, I want to keep reminding you, reach out to the National Pest Management Association. Reach out to them. Let them know what it is that you're wanting from an association as a small independent. And let them know that you want to participate, you want to be heard, and you want to be, taken account of. Let them know, because they're supposed to be representing us, and we need to reach out to them. Also, get it on iTunes. We want the conferences that they're putting out on iTunes. We would buy them. We would gladly pay for them. And let them know that, so that they can go ahead and make that investment, to put that out there. But if they don't feel there's a market for it, they're not going to put out a product. Also, you want to join the Pest Geek Society by going to pestgeekpodcast.com, becoming a member. The member section is now open. You can register there. There is content there that is exclusive. for pest control members, and you can get all that stuff for free. It's a free membership. There's nothing to pay. We won't spam your email. I'm not about to start sending you out an email message every week telling you to buy our new program. That's not what we do. So, you can be assured that I'm not going to sell your information either. We don't do that. Want to thank a couple of people. Actually, I'm trying to remember the name of the person who recommended this book to me over the week as I was doing an inquiry, and I mentioned Good to Great by Jim Collins, and I'm trying to find the thread of where this came from, and I can't find it right now to thank him. But what a great recommendation on this book, Ownership Thinking by Brad Hams, Hams. And I was glued in this book. It's a 270 page book, and I read it over the 2 days. I read about 100 pages in it. I could not put this book down. It is so awesome. If you're looking for a book that shows you, a small business owner or even a large company, how to properly pay and incentivize employees, if there's a book out there that's needed in the pest control business, it's this book. Just really a phenomenal book. I bought it on Google Play to read it on my phone, and I like reading it. Actually, I really enjoy reading it on the phone because you don't get that much text to read at one time, and it's really, really awesome. I think I paid $16.95 for it. But it isn't available on audio. I looked to try to get it on audio. It's not available on audio, but I'm telling you, if you want to understand how to put an incentive program together properly to reward your best employees that contribute to the organization, that's a book to get. Just blown away by it. In the news, I wanted to just congratulate Rudy Ayala, who's now the ACE 1000. He's the 1,000th person that has passed the ACE program. He is the owner and operator of Spearhead Pest Control in Ventura, California. Good going, man. Congratulations on that. If you want to read more about his story, go ahead. There's a link to it there. Just great. Now, just to think about that, there's several 17 to 20,000 technicians out there in the pest control, and only really 1,000 have passed that program. So you can see how much room there is to grow in this business, to grow in your knowledge and your understanding. Congratulations, Rudy. Really, really happy for you, man. And I'm glad that you got that done. In our main topic, we're going to spend a lot of time on this one because I think it's vitally, vitally important that as pest control owners, operators, employees, managers, we understand this issue of understanding profit and profit sharing. And it's up to you whether you decide to do something like that or not. But I did a post on Pest Cemetery over the week, and I asked this question because I hear a lot of grumbling about how people are not paid fairly and how they're not rewarded fairly and how they didn't get their Christmas bonus and how they got a Christmas bonus and they might as well just have kept it, where they didn't even get a turkey this year. All kinds of people expecting additional compensation sometimes for what they do. And I think that's that's a symptom of a much deeper problem than whether they got the bonus or not. I really do. I don't think that most people that I know, most owners, care about their employees. Most owners do want the best for their people, especially if they're good owners. There are some bad. Just like anything, there's bad tech, there's bad companies. Not everyone is great in everything. And that is a big problem. And most people feel like they're not working for the right company. But I asked a question, and I'll reveal what I wanted to accomplish by this question. And I put it this way: there are some who believe that company owners are greedy and that they should share the profits. And I said, think real hard before you answer. Everyone gets paid from the top, from sales and service. Most everybody in the business gets paid. A lot of people get paid on commission. They get paid off the top. What percentage of that sale for the service and what percentage of that sale for the sale you get paid. You get paid mostly somewhere between 18 to 35%. In some cases. So that's the range of the industry right now. It's somewhere between 18 to 35%. And on average, it's probably 20 to 25. So there's some on the low end paying really low and some really paying really good on the high end. But the average is somewhere around 20, 25% for production and for commission for sales. So a technician can walk away with somewhere for a sale, can walk away with somewhere between 40 to 50%. For sale and service of that upfront of that business. And owners get paid from the bottom line, which is what is called the bottom line. And that bottom line can range anywhere from losing money to maybe on average, if you're really good, somewhere between 15 and 20% profit for you at the end of the year. After you've paid everybody else, after you've paid all your vendors, after you paid your employees, after you paid their payroll taxes, after you paid all the equipment, after you've paid for every single thing, you might walk away with 15 to 20% in a good year. Some aren't doing that. So for those who would like to get a bigger piece of the pie, who would like to get raises, who would like to get bonuses, for extra things, or simply because they feel it's owed to them. You have to learn to be fair and equitable, and that is a responsibility on both sides, from the owners to the employees. So I asked a question, as an employee, I put it back on the employee. As an employee, what do you do every day that specifically contributes to the bottom line so that you can take a piece of it? Well, I was shocked by a lot of emotional responses. Yet I didn't really get an answer. I got a lot of answers, but I didn't get an answer to that question because most people, here's what happens when you read something like this. You tend to read into it, what is known as an eisegesis. You read into the text what you think or what you're feeling or what based on your experience, but you don't do an exegesis of the text to pull the parts out and really read the text to say, what is it saying? And I got most of the answers that I got were along this line. And I did it on several groups to get a good survey from different groups. And I got very little responses. You see, if I would have asked, what do you as a technician do to control a German roach? You could tell me. You could at least tell me 5 things that you do. Because you know your business. You know how to be a good technician. If I asked on a product, a machine, something, I would get 1,000 responses because you know what you're doing. You're good at what you do. But I got responses like this. Well, employees don't deserve to get profits. Typically, that's from the owner of a business. Employees get paid salaries. Owners get paid profits. They can sell more to make more money. They prefer commission over salary. Pay your people well so you can retain them. None of those answers that I got, and I went in and I engaged the people that were giving their responses to tell me specifically, though, my question. I made 3 comments, 4 comments, but really there's only one question there. As an employee, what do you do every day specifically to contribute to the bottom line? Nobody can tell me. But 2 owners that told me what an employee can do so that they can contribute to the bottom line. Because the reality is most of what employees do not really contribute to the bottom line. And the major discussion that I was having with people is that they feel that if they did more sales and services, they would contribute to the bottom line. Because what they think, they look at gross sales, gross revenue, gross profit is one thing. And net profits are another. The company made $5 million, and all they gave me was a $35 bonus. Well, for a company to make $5 million in profit, that is a large company. Because most pest control companies in America don't make $5 million in sales. You would be on the top 100 if you were making that kind of money. So think about it. Most of the companies are not doing that much in sales. Most business owners that are pest control owners are doing okay. They're doing good. They're not hurting so bad. There are worse things that could be happening. But 5 million, that's a lot of employees. Most employees have really no clue of how to get to profitability. They have no understanding of how a business works. This is evident by when a tech quits his job and tries to start at his own business, how much time and energy and mistakes he makes that first year because he has no clue what it actually takes to run a pest control business. And why should he? He's never been taught, and nobody's ever told him, and most likely nobody will ever tell you, except on this podcast. Owners are investors. They are sowers. They are tenders. Understand that an owner took a risk when he started, when he has a 90% chance of failing. Would you, if you knew you had only a 10% chance of being successful, would you take a chance? So by nature, the attitude and the nature of pest control owners, most of them are risk takers. They took a risk. Whether they were forced to take a risk or where they wanted to take a risk because they had a vision and a dream of what they wanted. If you ask most technicians why they quit, most of them wanted freedom. They wanted freedom to do their own thing. Most were forced by where they've been to 3 to 4 to 5 companies and they just simply got fed up and decided, I'm already doing 90% of what I have to do to make this company successful. Might as well do the rest for myself. That's the thinking. Although it is flawed. In its concept, it's flawed because there's so much more that it takes than sales and service to make a company successful. For the most part, and don't take this the wrong way, employees are reapers. They're reaping where somebody else sowed and watered and tended and made that business successful. So now they have a need because of the way they managed that they now have a need to go hire people. And that's what you are as an employee. You're somebody that comes in and is starting to reap something that you were never a part of building. You were not there for the first 10 years, 15 years of that business when, they had nothing to eat in their home, when they were paying everybody off, when they charged the credit cards, they put $30,000 on their credit card where, they were basically, the wife was buying clothes at Goodwill like everybody else who's poor, just so they can make it in their business when they were working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. And you're coming in and you didn't have anything to do with that. You have to put yourself in that position to understand that you had nothing to do with the success of that company because that's what the owner did. The people say, no, companies make companies successful. Yes, when you're on a larger scale. But understand the emotional attachment that an owner has to, it's kind of like you gave birth to it and you grew it. And now you have to start letting go of it so that it can date other people. That's the way an owner feels. Only two answered correctly what I was asking, and they were both owners. Which leads me to understand that, again, employees have no clue of what it takes to keep a business running and get to profitability, which is the goal of the business owner, not a salary. It's profit that motivates an owner. So the question is, as an employee, what do you do every day to specifically contribute to the bottom line so you can take a piece of it? He says, but I don't want a piece of the profit. I just want a better salary. I just want better equipment. I just want a better condition. I just want something that's better. I just want a bonus. I just want, and where do you think it all comes from? If there isn't enough profit, enough piece of that pie for that owner, he cannot contribute anymore to the things you want. In order for you to get more out of that business, two things have to happen. Number one is, in order to get a raise with no additional sales, you have to raise the prices on your clients. Well, how much can you raise those prices in order to give you a 3% raise? Another 15%, most likely, because if you look at your commission, that you get paid 25%. If you raise it 3%, you're not going to get a 3%. You're not going to get 100% of that money. So you have to raise it in such a way that you can give a little raise, but not too much more. So you're not going to see, if you raise on a $250,000, let's just take a round number, on $100,000, you raise it 3%. That's only $3,000 more a year. The most, okay, so you get another $1,000 out of that. Another $800 a year off of that. So that's about $60 to $80 more a month. But you would have to raise it on everybody. And the question is, can you raise your prices 3% a year to everybody and not get and lose customers? If you're the cheapest guy in town and everybody knows, you're going to have the cheapest employees in town because you can never afford to give them any benefits. And there are people working, no, I'm working, and they're doing restaurants for $35. You got to do 30 restaurants a night to make it with that kind of pricing. So therefore, you got to work like a nut in order to make the same that somebody would make at another company. The question then becomes is, are you a fit for that other company? Because they're paying their people top dollar. They're charging top dollar. And do you fit in the organization, in the culture? Are you what they are looking for in order to be able to qualify to work for that quality of organization? And if you don't up your A game and you don't have the mentality and you don't have the to be able to deal with what, you cannot be part of that organization. I would like to work for that company, and then you find out, that they put out a job posting and they get 20,000 applicants, but there's only, one job opening because everybody wants to work for them. If I can just get in there, man, I'll be set. If I can just get into the postal services, if I can just get into here, it's a lot harder than you think to get into a great place to work because nobody wants to leave. And they are growing so much, so you need to be able to get into that place. This is a hard reality that employees don't have the faintest clue of how to contribute to profitability. And some have the attitude that they don't care. There seems to be an entitlement mentality. And especially with the baby boomers are pretty much done. We have the Gen Xers. And then we have millennials. And they're starting to dominate the workplace. And there seems to be an entitlement mentality that they should be able to graduate from college and immediately make $50,000 a year with no experience. There seems to be an entitlement mentality sweeping our country, that people feel they should be given something because and this envious and this class warfare and this strife that if an owner is successful, he should be penalized. This communist socialist mentality if it's so easy to make profit and run a business, why don't you go do it yourself? And wholeheartedly, I mean that. Start up. It's not that easy. You struggle a lot. You get to eat a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and beans and rice. And, sometimes you're like, man, I got to go put food in the truck or gas in the truck, and there's no food at home. Let me see if I can pull an extra account somewhere. It's tough. The recovery is happening. The economy is getting back, but it's not there. It's not there yet. Some believe they should get a Christmas bonus or some type of discretionary bonus. And what you have to understand is anything that you get and anything that you get above what you agreed to work for is discretionary. It's not owed to you. Companies don't owe you a Christmas bonus. Companies don't owe you to give you now health insurance if that's not what you negotiated. So you have to be able to sit down at the table and says, what do I need to take home at the end of the month in order for me to pay my bills, pay myself? And there's another thing. You don't have enough money to pay yourself. And what do I mean by paying yourself? You need to pay yourself first. The first 10% of that paycheck needs to be able to be put away in a savings. The next 10%, if you want to give off the top and you want to be charitable, to give. That's up to you. You need to make enough money to cover all your bills and pay yourself first and have enough money to be able to enjoy a small vacation sometime, whatever. And if you feel that the job you're going to go do isn't going to do that, then you got to decide whether you want to work there or are you simply going to have to adjust your lifestyle to meet those needs. Most people have adjusted their lifestyle. I understand. I've had to do that many times. If businesses decide that they want to share the profits, it's either at their discretion or it's something they do to attract top talent. So you're going to attract the best of the best, the top 1% in the industry, the guys who have the ACE certification. Because you want those people, so you create a program that includes health insurance, that includes profit sharing, ESOP, employee stock ownership plans, year-end bonuses, turkeys and ham, sports tickets, because you want to attract the top talent. But you have to be able to develop a large company with massive income in order to do that. And the problem is that most owners don't want to get that big. They don't want to deal with the employee issues. They don't want to deal with hiring people. They don't want to grow. They want to be a solopreneur. So you got to take the good with the bad. If you want to build a large company, be prepared to deal with a lot of headaches. So you can't complain that you are not getting quality, that the other company is sucking up all the talent. But you don't want to play in that ball game. You want to stay small because you're afraid, because you don't know how to grow. And that's okay. But understand where you're at and accept it and say, this is it. This is where we're at. This is what we're going to stay. If I can get to $1 million and then sell my company, that's great. That's what I'm going to do. The problem is with this younger generation that you're going to have to deal with is expecting all that. They're expecting good salaries. And you have to decide. A lot of companies pay their people well. I mean, they're making, techs making $35 a year. Plus they got, all the other benefits. When you add that up, it's the same as getting $50,000 a year worth of salary. When you add ESOP, when you add, 401k, when you add the insurance, that's easily 40% of your salary. Easily. So you decide whether you're going to work for a company where you make less money, but you don't have to kill yourself, and they treat you well, and there's a good attitude, and you're happy there, but you're not going to make $60,000 a year. Versus the company says, I'll pay you 35%, but you got to go out and do collections. And you go out, and basically I'm throwing on you everything I don't want to do, and I don't want to hire an administrative assistant, and I'm putting everything on the tech. The tech literally is not a technician, he is a route manager. The only difference between him owning that route is having to deal with all the costs associated with that route. There's no difference. And you got to look at it both ways. You got to say, what's more important to me? Is it a big salary, or does my wife feel better that I have a steady paycheck coming in every single week that we can pay our bills, and there's health insurance, and I'm covered, and if anything happens, I'm not making a ton. We're never going to buy the $250,000 home, but we're stable. See, it all means different things to different people. But understand that in order for an organization, for you to be part of an organization that grows, you have to know what it takes to get to profitability. You have to know. Employees don't participate in the business of business. They only are concerned and trained in tasks that they have to do. They have no clue what it takes to run a business. And most owners are not going to tell them. Most owners are not going to share that. Most owners are going to keep you in the dark like a mushroom and feed you crap. They don't want you to know. So if you don't want your employees to know what it takes for you to be profitable, and you're expecting them to understand your pain, but you're not telling them your pain, then they cannot relate. If you're not listening to what they want and what their pain is, then you can't get together. So what I do is I'll just give you the high commission, and that way I don't have to calculate anything. And then, by the way, I'm asking you to roll with the punches with me, because if the sales go down that week, your pay goes down. And if everything goes up, if people don't pay, then you don't get paid. So really, you're nothing more sometimes than a subcontractor. I mean, you're on that borderline on some laws. They're the two functions of a pest control business. There's the sales and service, and then there's management. Sales produces revenues. Service produces revenues. They're revenue-producing activities. Everything else besides sales and service is a non-revenue-producing activity. Collections cost money. They don't make money. Paying the bills costs money. It doesn't make money. You need to hire administrative staff, which is a cost. The only people that make money for the company, gross revenue, are sales and service. What makes the profit is managing all those costs so that there's enough left over for the owner. Sales and service looks at what is made. Management looks at what it costs. Two different mentalities. Two different ways of thinking and looking at things. One is trying by every means for nothing to be spent, while the other one is out there saying, how much can we sell so we can make our money? Now, whatever is left over cannot be just taken. I mean, what most employees think, here's what most employees think. That an owner at the end of the year made $500,000 in profit, and that's what he made. The owner made $500,000, while we only made 50. He made 10 times more than we made. What you don't understand is he can't take that. If he takes out $500,000, he's going to pay 30-something% in taxes to take that money out. So what does he do? He says, I won't take out $500,000. I'm only going to take out $100,000 for myself. pay myself $100,000 in profit, and I'm going to reinvest the difference, and I'm going to put out 2-3 more routes this year. And then the employee says, see, I'm getting paid, and he put out 3 more routes. You got to understand that that's what owners do. See, you should be thankful as an employee that somebody created a job for you, because that's what they're doing. They're creating jobs. That's what companies do when they grow. They create jobs. We talk about wanting job creation. We just don't like the way it's done. But that's the way it's done in a capitalistic system. You reinvest back into the company. That money. Owners think one way, employees think the other. Owners think of profit, cash flow, competition, employees, and controlling costs. What do employees think about? They think about their paycheck, because they depend on a paycheck every week to cover their fixed cost at home. I understand that. They think about, I need health insurance. How am I going to get all this work done in the hours that is given to me to get it done? They think about job security. They want recognition. They look forward to Fridays. They want a nice work environment to go to work to. And they want upward mobility. 2 different mindsets. One is looking at risk. The other one is risk advert and is looking at stability. And the problem with the industry is that owners want employees to take the risk with them when they're not partners. If you're asking me to get paid versus a salary where I show up to work every day and I get paid no matter what the company makes, I'm an employee. But if you're asking me to come to work every day, go out there and make my sales, make sure that those customers paid, because if those customers don't pay, I don't get paid, I'm rolling with the punches with you, and I'm really a partner to a certain extent. And this is done in the pest control where it's not done in any other industry. And then you get certain type of people who have a certain personality that's able to handle the work, the knowledge that it takes to do the work. Then they're also able to take some risk in order for a bigger reward. This is why it's so easy for them to quit and start up as a company. The question you got to ask, what kind of culture and what kind of company do you want to create? One that is about teamwork, collaboration, buy-in, or one that is a piranha pit where everybody is out to get their own and don't bother me with anything else because it takes me away and now I'm pissed off every time you ask me. I got to go and look at all the things that I have to do. I have to go and buy my own product. I got to go to the supplier and pick up the product. I have to make sure my equipment is maintained. The oil in my sprayer is up to level. I got to make sure the truck is clean. I got to make sure the oil gets changed. The tires get rotated. I got to make sure that I clean out that tank once a week. I got to wash it. I got to get the tires rotated. I got to go and make sure I collect. I got to watch the chemicals I use because I can't be wasteful. Those are all the things that sometimes they're asked of an employee, but they're on commission to make sales and service. And none of it has to do with sales and service. Do you see the mode of thinking with an employee that's saying, geez, you're asking me to do all these things, stay up with all this, and what time do I do it? Because if I do all these things, it takes 1 or 2 hours a day, and I'm on commission. When you put people on commission, you can't ask them to do unless the commission is really worth it. And no matter how much that commission is, human nature is going to say, this is a non-revenue producing activity. This is a revenue producing activity. What I would say is get rid of the non-revenue producing activities on the route, pay somebody to do that. And then that way An employee can focus on what he's really good at, and that's killing bugs. What employees want more than money? Well, they want honesty. They want transparency from owners. They want to feel that their owners are fair, that they're being treated fairly. They want to trust and be trusted. They want to be respected. They're craving dependability from their managers, from their owners. Collaboration. They want to collaborate. They want to contribute something. They want their ideas to be heard more than the money. Money, when somebody starts complaining all the time about money and the industry is paying and you're paying a competitive wage based on what others are paying in the area, it's usually a sign of a deeper dissatisfaction. And money, they're trying to make it up with the money and saying it's the money. No, it's something else is wrong. Because every study shows that if you give somebody a raise, that is short-lived. What are they going to do with that raise? Increase their lifestyle. Pretty soon, they bought the newer car, they bought the bigger TV, they took the vacation, and guess what? Now they're back to where they were 6 months ago or 3 months ago, where their lifestyle increased, but their money is still not coming in. And guess what? Dissatisfaction takes place again. Genuineness, genuine appreciation, to be thanked, to be told they're doing a good job, to be recognized, having responsiveness from owners. If I tell you that the hose is damaged, and the hose is damaged, and the equipment is damaged, and you pay no attention to me, and you still send me out there with that broken equipment, frustrating my day while you're paying me on commission, I feel robbed. You see, you have to be responsive. If you're gonna treat people like they're partners, and you're gonna treat them like they're part owners and managers, then you need to give them the respect and the training and the responsiveness that they need in order for them to continue to be a professional. Because if you pay them by the hour, here's the fear every owner has. If I pay them by the hour, they sit on their butt and they don't do anything. Guess what? You hired the wrong guy. That is your fault. See, you're trying to make up in the commission, and that for lack of management and lack of leadership. You hired the wrong guy. So if I tie the money and hold it over their heads with the stick and carrot, they will do the right thing. No, they're going to opt to do what is easiest for them to make the money. The incentive is all wrong. It's a double-edged sword. So you have to hire the right guy with the right attitude and the right temperament, the right morality to be able to do that. How you compensate will determine how much you compensate. Do you ding them when a customer doesn't pay and take it out of their check? Employees need a sense of knowledge of ownership in order to consider the ramifications of their actions. If they do not know where the costs are, they cannot know. They don't consider that extra ounce of chemical they're throwing away is a big deal. They don't consider that they took the gloves and they took whatever and they took it home, or they used it inappropriately. They don't consider that they took the long way around and wasted an extra 50 cents worth of gas. They don't see the bottom line because they don't get compensated on the bottom line. They don't feel the pain of the bottom line because they're not compensated by it. If they were compensated based on profit, I guarantee you, instead of putting 1 ounce, they put half an ounce. And they would cheat that way too. We got to save the money, so just cut that rate, man. As an owner, what I would be really, really concerned about is unrealized profit. And what is unrealized profit? Unrealized profit is the one that's falling through the cracks that nobody sees. Let's face it, most owners aren't forensic accountants. And when you bring your bills, all you do is bring your bills and your bookkeeper tabulates them, puts them in, and your accountant tells you what you owe at the end of the year. You know, if employees would understand that the company, if the owner is making the best profit he can, which is about 15 to 20%, if you're lucky, that if there's a callback on a $65 job, the owner makes $13 at best. That's the best he could ever hope for. You got a guaranteed 20-25% commission. The owner doesn't have a guarantee on how much he will make. If you get one callback, the entire profit from that job is gone. Because he lost the opportunity, and so did you, of making another call, which makes money, and now he has to have 5 more jobs additional to make up for that one that was lost. See, you don't understand that you don't understand costs of the bottom line. You understand costs from the top. The problem that you have with most incentive programs in most pest control companies is that they do not incentivize the focus on corporate profitability. That the company needs to be successful. The company needs to be profitable in order to be around. Your attitude is, if it goes under tomorrow, I was looking for a job when I found this one, I could care less. That should not be the attitude. See, in good times, when the money's flowing, the sales are high, there's cash flow, and there's high profitability, nobody looks at that. But when you get lean time, since 2009, we've been lean. Then, that's when everybody tightens the belt up and says, this is why a lot of companies that are larger, a lot of stuff just doesn't get done because, there's 5 techs and there's one foaming machine and everybody's sharing it. Because the owners won't buy, managers won't order one foaming machine per truck. So you show up to your food service and it didn't get done this month because I didn't have the machine. It didn't get done last month. Pretty much you got 6 months and now you got a fly problem. Because they've tightened up so much, because they have so much leakage. They don't know where the leakage is. And employees are sucking the life out of the company. And the attitude is from a lot of employees is, they're not treating us fairly. And there's this constant back and forth with management. If you give a discount on certain jobs as much as a 10%, the entire profit is gone. As salespeople, to drop the price to get the contract, to meet quota, is about the most disastrous strategy that I have ever seen in the world. Because at one point, then, sometimes you're not profitable. You have good cash flow, but you're not profitable. When a salesperson undersells the job, it affects the entire company. The tech gets affected. He's working on commission too. And he has to go and do a job that he's got to spend an hour in, but he's really only feels he's getting compensated for 30 minutes. I know you got to take the good with the bad. It's part of the job. But you got a salesperson that consistently does that, and management doesn't do anything about it because that person is selling contracts, he's meeting quota. I think that's wrong. The owner needs to set, the managers need to set the minimum price that's acceptable to do something, whatever that is. But when you have a large organization and quotas are the number one strategy, that's what you end up with. All techs, here's my view, and I've said this before and I'll say it again. My view is that I run every route as a route manager, and every route should have a separate P&L. Every tech should know his compensation should be this. These are the costs associated with running this route. You are responsible not only for the income, but you're responsible for the costs. You keep the cost down, I will share a percentage of that profit of that route with you. On top of your salary, your commission, bonuses, incentive. There's many ways to incentivize people, but you have to make them acutely aware that there's a cost associated with everything they want. And are they willing to pay the price to get that? A separate P&L on every truck. Why are you spending, in 5 years, that truck has spent twice as many tires? Is it because you don't care how you drive? Is it because you hit every pothole? You drive over every nail? Is it because you keep banging the heck out of that suspension and you keep having to get it aligned because of the way you treat the truck? How is it that you're behaving? And when you start putting parameters in place that everything is monitored, that your speed is monitored, because we have GPS now that we can put on vehicles, that your time you spend in a place is monitored, that how much chemical you're using is monitored, that you're accountable to be a steward of what you're entrusted with, which is the company's assets. You have to be a good steward. And then the good companies will say, listen, we want to reinforce good behavior. We want to contribute to your wealth. See, the companies do not focus on wealth creation. They only focus on wealth creation from an attitude of talking about wealth from their perspective. What if you could create a company that focused on creating wealth for the employees, which is the number one asset that you have? Changing the vocabulary to creating wealth versus paying commission, versus paying. Every time you use the word pay, it's an expense. When you write a check to your employees, are you happy about it, of what they made? If you're not, then you need to sit back and reevaluate what it is that you're doing. Because I would be ecstatic. When I used to write checks for my tech, I was happy to write a $1,500 check. He earned it, and based on the price that I set, I made good money. And I was very happy. And he was happy that he was able to take off every 3 months, 2 weeks, to go see his family. Because I sold high-priced jobs that allowed us to make high margins, that allowed him to work 40 hours a week and make $42,000 a year. See, it's focus. It can be done. The question is, do you want to? And there has to be that collaboration between management and employees to make that happen. There has to be transparency. Make them acutely aware of where the costs are. Identify the waste. In lean management, it's all about identifying waste and eliminating it. In companies like Toyota, the people who identify waste and get rid of it aren't the managers. It's the frontline people doing the work and saying, we're wasting money on this, we're wasting money on that. But it has to do with a culture. It has to do with a culture that was created to enable that. You've got to create a culture that identifies waste at all levels of the organization, not just management. Look at the ways you're wasting and money is falling through the cracks in your fleet, in your equipment, in your maintenance, in your products, in your time, your techniques, your office supplies, your driving habits, the brand, how you represent the brand. The brand has value. Where are the insurance liabilities that can be cut? What can be done to be the most efficient? Is it investing in software to reroute everybody and changing the way you do your business, whether you're calling everybody on the phone and one wants it at 2 and the other one wants it at 3, and your tech is driving all over town? Whether it's micro, I've talked about micro marketing before. Getting a sales rep to focus on one community where you can get 15, 20 clients, where you can do 15, 20 clients in a day because they're boom, 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 one in back of the other, creating that efficiency. Look at ways your employees have the answer. They're out on the street. They know. Sit down with them. Talk to them. Ask them what they think. Work to build the best company that you can build. With that, I leave you. I wish you the best, and I will see you next time. Thank you for listening to the Pest Geek Podcast. If you have enjoyed the Pest Geek Podcast, please give us a rating, write a review, or subscribe to the channel. You can join the Pest Geek Society by visiting pestgeekpodcast.com. Thank you for listening. See you next time.